Hello everyone, welcome back to Prashvita Fin School. So this is the session 2 of our module Interview Preparation for Accounting and US Taxes and Rules. So this session is to completely dedicated to learning the strategies and the structure that will help us to answer the accounting interview questions. So this particular session you will be learning how to answer the questions asked in any accounting role strategically or maybe systematically that will help you to get clear the interviews. So we will be not focusing a lot on in learning the concepts or basics of accounting, but we will be learning more about how to answer those basics and fundamentals of accounting in this particular session. So going ahead, what all roles that we are going to cover in this session? More or less, we are going to cover each and every functional or departmental roles that you come across in the accounting department, right? So it is account payable, accounts receivable, record to report, junior accountant, or maybe accounts executive. So if you are completing this entire session, you will be easily able to answer the questions whatever roles you are applying for in the functional department areas of accounting. Easily you will be answering what is account payables, what are accounts receivable, what is the process flow, what does accountant do in record to report, and everything about junior accountant and executive interview questions. So the interview pattern discussed apply across most entry level accounting roles over here. So whatever role you are applying into finance or accounting, if someone is asking you about the basics of accounting, so this is what we are going to learn over here, right? So the first is accounts payable. Here we will be understanding the process flow of accounts payable. What is process flow exactly means? Process flow is a process which the accounts payable department do again and again, repeatedly or continuously in their day-to-day responsibilities in a company. So before understanding this, let's understand what is accounts payable. Whenever a company takes some services or goods, purchase some goods or services from a vendor or maybe from a vendor, they have something to pay in return, right? So that is where accounts payable come. So we will be understanding a more detail about accounts payable or how to answer this strategically or how to frame this answer strategically going ahead in the slide. But before that, let's understand how accounts payable process flow works. So first, a vendor from whom we have taken the goods and services raises an invoice, and then followed by invoice is received and verified by our accounts team like by the company's accounts payable team. Then invoice is recorded in the system, approval is taken as per the policy from the concerned department who has taken the services or maybe the goods or services. Then payment is processed and vendor account is reconciled. So this is exactly what is being done in the accounts payable department or maybe an accounts payable executive in any of the company. So the exact step may vary, from company to company, but the flow remains similar across all the companies, across all the departments. So going ahead, let's understand what are the basic interview questions that you can expect during your accounts payable interview. But before going ahead, as we have already discussed in our session 1, that do not mix accounts payable questions with answers or skills with accounts receivable questions and answers or skills. So if you are applying for a accounts payable role, be very specific or be very job specific toward the accounts payable skills only. So the questions what you should be ready before attending any accounts payable interview is: what is accounts payable? Explain accounts payable process. What is a vendor invoice? How do you ensure invoice accuracy? What is invoice reconciliation? What is the difference between accounts payable and accounts receivable? It is a commonly asked question in every interview. And what documents are being checked before making a vendor payment? So these are the areas of questions that you might expect in an interview for an accounts payable role. And if the exact question is not being asked, but if you understand these few questions, you will be able to answer more or less each and every answer in an interview. So let's see what is accounts payable is. Accounts payable represents the amount a company owes to its vendor. It raises when goods or services are received but payment is pending. It is recorded as a current liability in the balance sheet. In simple terms, AP is the company's unpaid bills. So if an interviewer asks you, what do you understand by accounts payable? You can just simply say accounts payable is the company's unpaid bills and it is marked as a current liability in the balance sheet. So what you did here, you didn't went the very much over explaining the concept, but you have exactly explained what it is in one or two sentences. This is what a interviewer expect from you. So the similar way we will be learning how to answer all the other questions in the same way, right? Then explain accounts payable process. What is the process of accounts payable? As we saw in our previous slides, first vendor raises an invoice from which the company have taken some goods and services. Then invoice is being verified and approved from the concerned department who has taken from the supervisor of the particular department, whoever has taken that goods and services within the company. Then invoice is recorded in the accounting system, payment is processed as per the due date, and vendor balance is reconciled. What is reconciliation is a very important thing that you should be knowing whether you are applying for any accounting role, and we will be discussing about what is reconciliation going ahead in the previous in the other slides. So the step may vary again, but the flow remains the same, as you all know this. So you are not expected to explain the concepts behind this, no, and not give any textbook definition, right? So what a interviewer asks expectation from you while he's asking the account payable processes, if you are applying for a particular job role, whether you know what you have to do in your day-to-day life over here as a accounts payable executive. So if you're able to explain, if you're able to explain that, yeah, you know what you will be doing or what the team will be doing as a AP accounts payable team, then you know what you are applying for. That gives a pretty much clarity to the interviewer that yeah, you are pretty much clear with your career what you are applying for. Then what is a vendor invoice? A document raised by the vendor for goods and services provided is called as a vendor invoice. As simple as that. It contains invoice number, date, amount, tax detail, etc., and used as a basis of recording accounts payable and making payment. As simple as that. Then how do you ensure invoice accuracy? So this is one of the most commonly asked question, that you have to handle around 50 or 100 invoices going ahead in this role. So how you will be ensuring invoice accuracy? So what is been expected from you is to answer in 2 to 3 lines, and you can answer it in like with that match invoice detail with purchase order agreement, verify quantity, rate and tax amounts, check for the duplicate invoices, and ensure the current or the correct and vendor detail. So this is what you are expected to answer when they are asking that how you will be ensuring that you are not making any error. Going ahead, what is invoice reconciliation? So it is one of the mostly asked question in an accounts payable or accounts receivable or any other accounting role. So you have to answer it accordingly, matching invoices with accounting records, identifying differences or missing entries, and ensuring vendor balances are correct. So why is reconciliation being done? To check whether the book of accounts or everything is up to the mark and there are no there are no error that is reflecting in our accounts as comparing to the clients or vendors account. So this is exactly what you have to answer over here. Then how do you handle duplicate invoices? So this is also one of the most important question where they will be asking you what you will be doing if there are two invoices coming from the same vendor, how you will be able to identify a duplicate invoice over here. So you are expect to answer it in a way that interview will think that okay, you know how not to make a double payment of for a single in against a single invoice. So what you should answer is you will be checking the invoice number and vendor details and compare invoice date and amount. Along with that, use system control to prevent double entry and clarify with vendor if required. So these are the few things you can reply to this above question, right? So going ahead, we will be learning what is the difference between accounts payable and accounts receivable. Accounts payable is the money that the company needs to pay to its vendors, and accounts receivable is the money the company need to receive from its clients. Accounts payable is a liability, accounts receivable is an asset. You can answer the question in very simple 2 to 3 sentences, right? So what documents are checked before vendor payment? So as already mentioned, we have to check few documents, right, before making any payment against any invoice. So what are the documents that we have to check? approved vendor invoice, purchase order or agreement, good receipt or service confirmation. So before making any payment, you should be confirming it from the particular departmental supervisor that whether the goods have been received or the service has been confirmed or not. And then internal approvals as per the policy, it depends, it varies from company to company. And then you can make the vendor payment. So again, what is what again the second rule? It is one of the most important rule after accounts payable, where interviewers look after the following areas, whether a candidate understand the accounts receivable process or not, whether the candidate understand invoice generation and billing basics or not, if the customer payment and follow-ups, how to make customer payments and how to take follow-ups or not, because this is the area where we will be receiving or we will be collecting the invoices from our vendors, right, or maybe from our clients, right? So it is a very important role where we have to take multiple follow-ups sometime. Then you should be knowing aging analysis, basics of aging analysis would do. Then basic reconciliation understanding will help you to clear any accounts receivable role. So let's understand this. Before going ahead, as you all know by this time what is accounts receivable is, so let's understand what is how the accounts receivable process flow. Before we understood how the accounts payable process flow, now let's understand how the accounts receivable process flow. So goods and services are provided to the customer. Here we are the vendor, we are providing the goods and services to our client. Once goods and services are being provided, the sales invoice is being generated. Once the sales invoice is being generated, the invoice is sent to the customer and the customer payment is being received, and then receipt is recorded in the system and customer account is reconciled. Very easy, right? But it is not at the same when you will be working in as an account receivable executive in a company, because goods and services are being provided. Good. Sales invoice is being generated. Great. Invoice is sent to the customer. Okay, great. Then customer payment is received. Is it every time do we receive the customer payment on time? No, right? There will be there we have to take multiple follow-ups. They will be giving us multiple due dates and many more things will be there. And then once we receive after multiple follow-ups and all, we have to record the receipts in the system and the customer account has to be reconciled. So this is how basically the flow remains, right? So as in case of accounts payable, even here the flow remains the same across industries, but maybe the system or maybe the steps differ from company to company. Going ahead, let's understand a very key differences between accounts payable and accounts receivable that can help you to answer better the questions when asked what is difference between accounts payable or receivable, or what is accounts payable or what is account receivable. So money the company need to pay is AP and money the company need to receive is AR. Related to the vendor invoices, it is and AR related to customer invoices. Then AP is recorded as a liability and AR is recorded as an asset. Focus on outgoing payment is what is being done as a AP, and in AR focus is on cash collection. The risk here is of overpayment and the risk in case of AR is of delayed payment or bad debts. So but this differentiation, you might be aware of multiple questions that you can answer in an interview. So if a questions come, what is the risk you feel being an account payable? What is one of the biggest risk you feel being working in accounts payable department? You can just easily mention it's overpayment. And how to overcome with this risk can be the next question. Then you can easily answer it because we have already discussed it in the previous slides. The same goes for accounts receivable. If it is asked what should be your main focus working as an accounts receivable executive in our company, then you can mention my main focus should be to collect the case on time from our clients. So this is how the interview will feel that yeah, you have the clarity of the role that you are applying for, right? So these are the common questions that accounts receivable interview that account that you might be expected from to answer in an accounts receivable interview. So what is accounts receivable? Explain the accounts receivable process flow. What is aging report? How do you follow up on overdue payment? What is customer reconciliation? what is bad debts and how it is handled, and what documents are checked before making a vendor payment, and how do you handle short payments or payment differences from customers. So these are the wide range of questions that you can expect from an interview, and if you know these many questions, you will be able to answer few other questions as well that revolves around this specific area. Right, so let's first understand what is accounts receivable. Accounts receivable represents money customer owe to the company. It arises when goods or services are provided on credit only, and it is recorded as the current assets in the balance sheet. So you can easily answer accounts receivable represents the money customer gift owes to the company when some credit sales has been done, and it is recorded as a current asset in the balance sheet. So this is the way you can clearly answer what is accounts receivable in a very short sentence. Going ahead, what is the account receivable process? So I will be skipping it over here because we have already discussed this. Right, then what is aging report? Aging report is the term that would be used many of the time while you are attending for account receivable interviews, because this is really a very important report that shows how long invoices are outstanding. Invoices are grouped as 0 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days. What this stands for? So if an invoice was due on 1st January 2026 and today it is 1st February 2026, so when it under which category it would fall on? It would fall on under the category of 31 to 60 days, right? And if some invoice is due on 1st February and today it is 2nd February and the invoice is not yet cleared, so it will fall under the category of 0 to 30 days. And similarly, if there was some invoice due before 2 months or maybe before 2.5 months, that would fall under the category of 61 to 90 days. So what this help us to identify? This help us to identify the timeline of the overdue payments and how old is the age of that particular invoice. This is the way where we can identify where are the actual payments are, and if we have a lot many older invoices till yet to be cleared by the client, because older invoices means high risk of non collections. So this is a report that is really very important and need to be prepared by a accounts receivable team and have to keep on for, and this help us to collect the money on time. Then how do you follow up on overdue payments? Basically, review aging report regularly. As we mentioned, aging report is a very important report in accounts receivable. So every time you have to review the aging report, and whenever you feel that yeah, this particular invoice is really delayed to be cleared, then you have to take follow up, send payment reminder to the customer, follow up through emails or maybe calls, and escalate if payment is significantly delayed. So this is what your role would be as a AR when you will be working, at a very early stage of your career. Then, what is customer reconciliation? Matching company AR records with customer records. Let's say customer has mentioned in its account that they have paid us maybe 1 lakh rupees for the services we have provided to them. But in our AR records, we have mentioned that it has not been received, or maybe 50% of it has been received. So where is the gap is, and how to identify the gap, if there is a gap or not, is can be identified by doing customer reconciliation. Identifying differences like missing invoices or payments is what we already discussed, and then ensuring customer balance is accurate, right? This is what is being done in customer reconciliation, where you can give this proper example in order to make the interviewer understand that yeah, you know what a customer reconciliation is and how useful it is to identify if there is any gap. Right, so what is bad debt and how it is handled? So bad debt is very common in each and every industry, right? Because bad debt is an amount that is unlikely to be recovered. Many of the time it happens when a company provide a goods and services to the company, to its vendor or maybe to its clients, but again they fail to collect the amount, maybe because the client is not willing to pay, or maybe the client business got collapsed, or maybe there can be multiple reasons for the same. Right, so this is what bad debt is. So, identified when a customer failed to pay for a long period. Let's say we have a aging report, and this particular invoice is has crossed more than 91 days. So, in that case we have to mark it as a bad debt. So this policy varies from companies to company, and this is written off as an expense as per the company policy, right? So how bad debt is being handled, so you can just mention it, bad debt is written off as an expense as per the company policy. So difference between cash sales and credit sales, it is very important to understand what is cash sales and credit sales, because cash sales is the payment received immediately and credit sales is payment received later. Why it is very important? Because you have to answer that credit sales create accounts receivable, and in case of cash sales there is no accounts receivable, right? So there can be a question where that in case of cash sales, how you will be generating accounts receivable, or how you will be following with the accounts receivable process. Your question would be simply, in case of cash sales there is no accounts receivable required, accounts receivable is only being created in case of credit sales. So this can be a tricky question being asked to you in the interview. Going ahead, how do you handle short payments or differences? Identify the reason for the short payment, check invoice amount and deduction, communicate with the customer, and adjust or resolve as per the agreement. This is how you will be handling any short payment or differences between you and your customers.